Welcome to AVR 101 Lesson 4. In this lesson, we'll be focusing on another timer, the TCA0. We'll be using this timer to make tones with a piezo buzzer. By the end of this lesson, we will have covered the timer interrupt, using hardware pins with the timer, and computing frequencies. From Lesson 2, we used TCB0, which is one of the two 16-bit timers. TCA0 is another. The advantage to TCA0 and why we're using it today is it supports a large range of prescalers. So it's able to compute values and do interrupts at a wide range of timings. So our AC1 is running at 20 megahertz and a 16-bit value has a maximum of 65,535. Our maximum duration is 0.0033 seconds. That would be our interrupt time. A frequency has both an on interval and an off interval. We need two different events. We have an on event and an off event, and then we have the next on event and the next off event, which means we actually only have half as much of the maximum duration at a frequency interval. Let's run through that. So that's our 20 million divided by 65,535 times 2, or 153 hertz. 153 hertz is within the audio range, but there are times when we want to go much lower in the audio range. To do that, we need to be able to count a greater range. Well, since we can't exceed 65,535, what we want to do is we want to have each one of those values, one of those increments, be longer. The way we do that is a technology called prescalers, and there are hardware prescalers on the TCA0 timer. Matter of fact, there's a range of prescalers from 1 through 1024, as in multiples of 2. So there's a prescaler of 1, a prescaler of 2, a prescaler of 4, etc. We're going to be controlling an I/O pin directly, not through an interrupt service handler. This means we need to actually use one of the pins that's available to us for this timer. So looking back at our data sheet, we can look at the column for TCA0. We also need to look at the column for the chip that we've chosen for our AC1, which is the VQFN20 pin. That's the second column from the left. Then we'll go down both of those columns and find out which of these waveform outputs, WO is waveform output, we have available to us. So if we look down the TCA0 column, we have a WO3, a WO4, a WO5. Those are only available when we've split the timer into two 8-bit timers. We're not going to be doing that. So that means we're left with wave output 0, 1, and 2. And if we look down that column, there's two choices for that. There's the default of 0, 1, and 2 corresponding to pins PB2, PB1, and PB0. And then there's a set of alternate choices. Those are the ones with the parenthesis 3 after it. That gives us access to PB3, PB4, and PB5. So we could use either of those two areas for our choices. Now the AC1 for a future option has I2C, which uses the SDA and SCL. So that eliminates our ability to use PB0 and PB1. That leaves us with PB2, 3, 4, and 5. But if we then go and look at the column of our UART, which we'll be using in our next class, we don't have access to PB2 or PB3 because those are used for RX and TX. Okay, so now we're left with PB4, 5, and 6. And we have chosen to use PB4. That says we have wave output 1, and we have to look at what the parenthesis of 3 is. And we'll find out shortly that if we looked at the data sheet, that says that we have to do a multiplexing step prior to configuring that pin. And on the AC1, PB4 is where the piezo buzzer is connected. So let's go ahead and start the process of programming that timer. It's going to be very similar setting up the timer as it was when we had set up the timer for TCB0 for our milliseconds timer. Here we have our tone setup. So we're going to specify that we're using the alternate pin set. That's what the port mux of CTRL-C does. That says that our TCA0 wave output 1, that's what TCA01 represents, is going to be used. And then we set the pin to be output and low as our default. The last step that we need to do in setting up our tone is we actually want to specify that we're using wave output 1, and we want to enable its frequency mode. And specific to waveform output, there's 0, 1, and 2, and they're controlled by comp 0, comp 1, and comp 2, respectively. Now we want to go ahead and generate a tone. So we know we've computed our frequency. We've said that it's the CPU frequency divided by whatever value we're trying to create times 2, and then minus 1 because our timer started 0. So we have this macro we've created, frequency to interval. Having a macro makes this code easier to read and convenient. So we go ahead to start our tone. We compute what our interval is for the given frequency we want. We set the pin direction as output. We set our comp 0 interval. So we turned it on with the TCA single enable bit mask. And to turn it off, we do an AND of the ones complement, TCA 0 enable bitmap. And then just for cleanliness, we set the pin that we're using as input, and we're done. So in our exercise today, we will configure our button to generate a 200 Hertz tone. We can also configure our other button, PC3, to generate a 100 Hertz tone. Now, if you recall, we've said that the lowest tone we can create is 153 Hertz. So how do we create a 100 Hertz tone? This is where we need to start using our prescaler. A prescaler causes the interrupt to occur at a slower interval rate than we are specifying. So in essence, if we set a prescaler of 2, every other event occurs. If we set it to 4, it's every 4th event, 8, every 8th event, etc. The end result is that for a given value of our interval on a timer, we actually are generating a lower and lower frequency. Now we can see in our tone on that we have computed what our prescaler needs to be and we have set it. Let's take a look at the actual code. We have our frequency to interval macro. We also here have what our minimum frequency is going to be, and this is going to be dependent on what our CPU is set at. Ours is set at 20 megahertz. For convenience, there's a set of frequencies for notes in a standard scale. And we have our functions. Tone off, again, just simply clears the enable bit and then resets the pin to be input. Tone on, we're going to compute what our prescaler is. And initially, this is compiled out, so the pound if 0 that we saw in our previous lesson simply says this code will be compiled out. If we set that 0 to a 1, then the code is compiled in. And you'll see the effect of this shortly. This is just currently not implementing prescaler. So we set what our interval is going to be. We set up our compare value, and we set our pin to be output, and then we enable our interrupt handler. Tone setup, we're using the alternate pin, so we have to use the port mux control, and then we set as output and low, and we'll be using the waveform generation mode of the interrupt handler. So down in main, button 1 is doing a 200 Hertz, button 2 is doing a 100 Hertz, and if no button is set, we make sure our tone is off. So let's go ahead and compile the code. And let's upload the code, and the first button, and the second button. Again, the first button, and the second button. Now the second button should be generating a 100 Hertz tone, and of course it wasn't. That tone was actually higher, not lower than our 200, and that's because 100 is lower than the lowest note possible without a prescaler. So let's go back and look at the prescaler code. So I'm just going to enable it. What this is doing is it's taking whatever our minimum frequency is, and if the frequency we're requesting is less than our minimum, then we need to increment our prescaler, and this will continue in a loop until we finally reach a frequency and a prescaler that allows us to generate this with our timer. So now let's compile this and upload it, and let's listen to this. And there we have it. That's what the prescaler code is going to do. Little extra note here. If you have an oscilloscope, you can actually measure what the frequency is that we're getting from our tone generator. Now, the AC1 uses an ATtiny1616, which is one of the new AVR chips, and its oscillator, internal oscillator, is pretty accurate, but still not perfect. If you want a perfect oscillator, you're going to need to apply an external crystal to it. These are much better than the preceding generation, like the ATmega328. However, if we look at the two oscilloscope images, we can see down in the bottom right corner that our 1000 Hertz reference that we've tested in this example is coming out at 987, so it's off by a little bit. There is the ability to apply a correction. Now, you could compute the correction yourself for an individual board, but every chip is going to be slightly different. The AVR chips from the manufacturer are calibrated with a couple of references at both 16 megahertz and at 20 megahertz, and at 3 volts and 5 volts. The factory does compute a calibration for each and every chip, and that's coded onto the chip. That correction is stored in a value. In this case, we're looking at, since we're using the 20 megahertz version and we're running this at 3.3, we're going to use the Sigro oscillator 20 error 3V as our reference. And we can apply this to our value. So what we do is we still compute our interval value just as we've done before, frequency to interval. Then there's another macro supplied in our code to apply the compensation to that interval. So here is that macro. It uses a Q110, which is a fixed decimal representation. So to apply it, we add it to 1024, and then we divide the value by 1024. So we multiply our value that we have. This is our initial computed interval. This is multiplied by this number, and then the whole thing is divided by 1024, and that applies a compensation. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it does improve our output quite a bit. On the example that was used for these screenshots, we went from 987 to just over 1,000 hertz on our reference. Some chips will be better than others, but it does apply a certain amount of correction. So if you're looking for more accurate tone, then you would use this macro that's provided in the code. So this is lesson 4 of AVR Coding 101. We've gone over using a timer to generate a tone by controlling an I/O pin directly. So there was no interrupt service handler written for this. The timer directly affects the pin. And we generated a tone, and we covered prescalers.